Good morning. It's Sunday, April 19th, 2009. I'm Bruce, as always. And this weekend, Phil and I went out to see a couple Broadway revivals. It's been a big season for revivals, and we've seen some great ones. Exit the King, The Seagull, Equus, Blithe Spirit, all were great revivals. This weekend we saw one really good revival and one not so good. I'll start with the not so good. First of all, I'll just say that any play by Eugene O'Neill gives me a little pause. I'm not your biggest Eugene O'Neill fan. I think he was a great playwright, and some of his things really appeal to me. But there's a lot that of O'Neill that I don't care for. I have seen some great productions. Strange Interlude with Glenda Jackson and English company came over and did it quite a long time ago. I love The Long Day's Journey into Night with Vanessa Redgrave and Brian Dennehy. It was quite brilliant. And a production of Our Wilderness at Lincoln Center quite a few years back, maybe 10, 12. Those were really good O'Neills to me. I don't always like O'Neill because there's something about his dialogue to me that's like stilted or weird. I don't know. Just Iceman Cometh just drives me crazy. If I hear the words pipe dream anymore, I just like start a frenzy. So I wasn't really set to go to see Desire Under the Elms, and then I heard that it was a cut down version, that it was under 2 hours, and it was supposedly got great reviews in Chicago. This production stars Carla Gugino and Pablo Schreiber and Brian Dennehy. If you don't know the story, it's about a man with 3 sons, Brian Dennehy, an old curmudgeonly type, who has gone away for a few months, come back with a young wife. This causes great consternation and some hot sex between his son, Pablo Schreiber, and Carla Gugino, the young wife. This was directed by Robert Falls, and when the curtain goes up, the set is quite giant and representational of the themes of the play. The problem with the set to me was it was far too literal of what was going on stage. There's a battle over the farm, actually, and the farmhouse is actually hanging over everyone's head. It's quite impressive, but it's kind of literal. I thought Robert Falls didn't do a great job with this, although I don't care for the writing. O'Neill wrote it in this sort of stilted Maine upper East Coast accent, and everyone keeps saying things like "arn" and "theirn" and "maybe," and that's how it's written, so that just doesn't hit me. There was quite a lot of inappropriate audience laughter through the show, and that, I have to say, sometimes I agreed with. It's just sort of a corny thing, and if this was sort of a concept that I thought a British director might have, but somehow maybe a British director would have made it work. Something like an Inspector Calls. Just very odd. I didn't think the performances were all that great. Everyone said Carla Gugino gives the performance of a lifetime or her lifetime. And I thought she was fine. She's certainly gorgeous. Pablo Schreiber, who takes his clothes off in it, has a great body, but I didn't think he had quite the gravitas in his voice or his stage presence. And I like Pablo Schreiber. And Brian Dennehy was fine. All in all, this just was disappointing. I don't think the audience cared for it that much, and I really can't recommend it. So that's really all I'm going to say about it. It just joins my canon of O'Neill that I don't want to see again. So I still go to about every O'Neill, but, you know, with me it's hit or miss there. So that was a Saturday matinee, and then yesterday we went to see Waiting for Godot, which I'll review in a second. All right, yesterday matinee we went to Studio 54 to see the Roundabouts production of Waiting for Godot, or as they say, Waiting for Godot. Now, I don't know, I studied theater in college in the 60s. We did a lot of absurdist pieces. We certainly studied Beckett and Ionesco. By the way, if you didn't see my review of Eggs of the King, go see Jeffrey Rush. Anyway, that's just a wonderful production of an Ionesco play. But now we have a wonderful production of a Beckett piece waiting for... I'm going to say Godot. I can't say Godot. I think saying Godot is kind of obvious, you know? I mean, we all know what they're waiting for, and there's all this religious symbolism. So maybe it's pronounced Godot, but I never really heard it that way. Enough about that. Let's get down to the production. Bill Irwin and Nathan Lane are Dee and Gogo, and they're stuck in a wasteland with a lot of boulders. Oh, and by the way, lots of boulders hanging in the sky in Desire Under the Elms. Very symbolic. But the boulders in Waiting for Godot work better, I think. All right, well, if you don't know the Beckett piece, it's really probably not for everyone. People call it a comedy. It does have some laughs in it, but it's an absurdist, existentialist piece. And Nathan Lane is quite wonderful. Bill Irwin, actually, I think, hits his stride in this. They're great to watch together. They've got some great comic bits. And I have to say, Act 2 is much stronger than Act 1. I liked Act 1, but I loved Act 2. Who really surprised me in this is John Goodman. John Goodman was just stunning. He's Pazzo, the sort of aristocratic guy who wanders in with his slave, Lucky, brilliantly played by John Glover, and mostly a non-speaking piece until he has one big, long, absurdist monologue. So Nathan Lane, Bill Irwin, John Goodman, and John Glover make this piece really worth seeing. If you have any interest in seeing this Beckett play, it's not done a lot, and Anthony Page, I think, directed it quite lovely, quite brilliantly. It gets quite moving at the end, and I think the Beckett emptiness and loneliness and waiting and what is life all about is expressed as best you can in this production. So, for an absurdist piece, I enjoyed Enter the King much more. It's much more of a vaudevillian sort of piece. This has its vaudeville moments, but it's a little bit bleaker. The audience really liked it, they really appreciated it, and I say if you had to choose between Desire Under the Elms and Waiting for Godot, I'd pick the Godot. And it's a split decision if you want Enter the King or Waiting for Godot. If you want, to pick one of the absurdist pieces, depends. Jeffrey Rush gives the performance of a lifetime, though. Anyway, so those are the revivals now, and I can't wait to see the Revival Tony Award, because boy, there's going to be, we haven't even seen Joe Turner and Mary Stewart yet, so it's going to be a real thing, the horse race, to see who even gets into the 5 slots of Revival for a play. All right, well, have a good weekend.